We're going to talk about the changing landscape of diagnostics and calibrations within vehicles. So there's myself today and Martin. I'll explain who we are in a second. I forgot that. So looking at a number of things, we'll initially look at the body shop sector challenges, how diagnostics started and really how it has evolved. We'll talk a little bit about ADAS and we'll talk about remote services and how that can help and support in the body shop. So it's really focusing on diagnostics and calibrations and the associated technologies. So the two of us are going to speak today. I'm Phil Peasel, I'm Managing Director of Repairify UK, and we've got Martin, who runs our Innovation Hub and is Managing Director of Repairify Innovations. As we all know, there's some significant challenges in the body shop sector at the moment. A lot of these are labour related in terms of lack of staff and a lack of new people coming into the industry. We've got challenges by the labour rate control by the work providers, paint index, increasing utility costs, and looking at all of those things, we've also got the challenges of new technologies, accepting new technologies, understanding them and utilising them to the best of your advantage in the shops. All of those aspects are challenging to the shops and push up both the cost of repair and key-to-key times. And what we're looking to do is demonstrate how, utilisation of technology and calibration diagnostics can help shops to recover and recover some income and become profitable, help the profitability. In terms of vehicle diagnostics, Martin?
Yeah, in terms of vehicle diagnostics, over the years we've seen it considerably change, going back to 1996 with our OBD ports, people refer to it, RJ 1962, up until today where we see like the Tesla 3 that has no diagnostics port at all. Modern vehicles are certainly now starting to move. We're seeing to online diagnostics where the manufacturers and soon to be collision centres and aftermarket shops will be able to communicate these vehicles directly over the air. Next one. Okay, we could talk a little bit about the growth of ADAS. In the collision world, obviously in repair centres, you've probably experienced ADAS repair, I wouldn't say problems, but challenges, where you're actually having to make sure that the ADAS has been configured correctly. Two main ADAS systems we've seen on vehicles are obviously your cameras and radars. Obviously, the front of the vehicle is where you have your radar. It's one of the first points of impact behind the bumper. I'd like to move on. Importance of ADAS. I mean, what a lot of shops don't understand is, let's take a radar that's between 150 and 275 meters range. It can only take a couple of degrees where the actual camera, but not so much camera, the radar can cause the vehicle to perform an emergency stop when it sees an obstacle. Let's look at perhaps an example we've seen before where the radar slightly portioned to incorrectly calibrated to the left, and it's picking up a vehicle in the middle lane rather than the outside lane. So the vehicle could be travelling in the outside lane, a car moves over from the near side to middle lane, and the car will brake and perform the emergency stop in the fast lane and cause a collision behind. That's the importance of ADAS, what we see. Next up. Different types of ADAS equipment. Obviously, I don't know if you guys have seen the digital system. The digital system is like a large-scale monitor that enables you to project or to actually display or project the images for each manufacturer as they come out. Or we can have the traditional ADAS where you hang the boards on. By hanging the boards on, you're going to need different boards for different vehicle manufacturers. And as the manufacturers come up with new technologies, new boards, you have to obviously acquire these boards and hang them on. Again, the advantage of digital systems, as soon as they're available and they're produced, they're live in the system. For the collision world, we believe the digital system is the way forward. With the SMR, if you're just working with one specialist brand, VW for example, you might just want the VW boards. That's our main two differences we see here.
Yeah, so the left-hand solution there is the traditional solution and the right hand is the digital display board.
Evolution, yeah, diagnostic technology. I mean, secure gateways. We're seeing manufacturers now putting secure gateways in cars, meaning some of the aftermarket tools at the moment are struggling to connect. Mercedes being one, obviously FCA and the Fiat Chrysler Group was from 2009, albeit they have made that available. Nissan and Renault are the ones, where we're seeing the aftermarket manufacturers still working the licensing agreements with those manufacturers apart from FCA, meaning the traditional aftermarket tools are not, in the collision world, are not finding it as easy to be able to connect to vehicles as they used to in the old days. CAN-FD is a new protocol. It's a new protocol that's enabling faster communication so we can actually start to take the vehicles into the cloud so they can be diagnosed over the air. Also, it means some of your traditional diagnostic tools are needing upgrading or new interfaces because they were just CAN or DOIP, or not even DOIP. DOIP protocol we've seen on the new Land Rovers, Volvos, JLR products mainly that are requiring DOIP for a lot of their later systems. In the US now we've got in the Jeep range we now have full CAN-FD vehicles. Not seen in Europe yet, but meaning when they are, your existing diagnostic tools will not work on the latest range of vehicles we've seen coming out in the US. If you want to move on. Okay. Sometimes, you've got to look at this. Is the way forward you investing in OE equipment for different manufacturers, or are we looking at a remote service? We're not the only company. There are companies out there like us offering a remote service. What this enables you to do is to plug in a device into the diagnostics port. Then we're able to take over with technicians and able to diagnose that vehicle over the air with the OE equipment or with equipment that's best suited for that particular car. So we might have, a company like us could have X amount of millions of pounds worth of equipment and train technicians for that job. And our technicians are there, or companies like us, to help you take over that task for you, for yourself in your workshops.
Yeah, I mean, just really picking up from what Martin says on the remote side. So if you have got the remote piece really comes into its own in the body shop sector, whereby you've got new vehicles which the aftermarket tools may not have the latest software on, or may miss some modules, or you've got vehicles which have got which have got CAN-FD or DOIP or secure gateway, and you can't actually calibrate or diagnose that vehicle. So in terms of remote services, your technician literally plugs into the vehicle at the site, plugs one of our tools, or there's some competitors' tools, as Martin said, into the vehicle on site, and I'm not moving that, so I don't know why it's bouncing forward. That then communicates over the air with a equivalent tool at our data center. Our technician monitors that calibration or diagnosis, whereby that is plugged into the OE's genuine OE tool, and we calibrate or program over the air. We then provide certificates that comply with IIR and a report in terms of what's been undertaken, so that you've got everything that you need as a body shop to give to the insurer or the work provider to get approval for payment. So it's a very, very simple process. We either do it via the telephone, so you can ring and take it. So we take you through via the telephone, or we've got an app and you can manage it on the app. We've got the app; it's multilingual, so it covers lots of different countries, and we've got IMI trained technicians within the contact center. So you're always speaking to an accredited technician and using accredited OE equipment with ourselves. So ultimately, what are the benefits? There's a number of benefits. Basically, it avoids having to take the vehicle to a dealer. It avoids having to get a subcontractor in. You retain all the income that you would get from the work provider from actually undertaking that calibration and task. We know it improves key-to-key times because you've got the vehicle there. You can do the remote as and when you need to do it, as opposed to having to wait, which also will help your relationship with your KPIs with the work providers. We've got a very competitive proposition. We've just sort of restructured the pricing. and you'll see that that's now changed significantly, makes it exceptionally competitive, and makes there a really good margin in it for the body shops, particularly calibrations, really strong margin if you are using remote services. And as I say, the report, you get a report that comes out, an equivalent OE report to say what's been undertaken, but you also get a certificate to say, for ourselves, that it conforms with the IIR structure and requirements, which again is great from an insurer's perspective, because it just safeguards you and safeguards them, and also if they ever need to present that in the future to the customer, keeps the end user customer happy that everything's followed the due process. So I think that's it. I mean, just really summarize where we are, what we're doing. If there's any questions, we're happy to take anything that you've got. No? Are you guys in body shops? Yeah. No. Do you use remote at all? Right.
You just So say again, if it's a dynamic calibration, can our technician take over and do that? Yep, it depends upon the vehicle. Some vehicles are dynamic calibrations. Let's take a Volvo, for example. The technician will put the vehicle into calibration mode. You'll then take the vehicle for the road test. As you said, it's depending on the road conditions, anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, and then the vehicle go through the calibration process. Most of the dynamic calibrations, not all, but most, it's a case of putting the vehicle into dynamic mode, and then it will go through the calibration process. Great. Yeah, is it just to provide IIR? It's not just to provide the IIR certificates. What it's actually do is to make sure the body shop complies with the IIR, goes through the due process of making sure that radar or camera has been calibrated. It's back to the manufacturer standards before the vehicle leaves the centre. Yes and no, of course. Yeah, I mean, if you do it remotely, if it's, as you said, a dynamic, then there is nothing that the workshop needs. But if it's a static calibration, yes, they're going to need the jig. I mean, you might have hybrid vehicles like a Mercedes A-Class, that the camera's static and the radar's dynamic. So there's two processes even on one vehicle there, but you're correct. To answer your question, yeah, they would need the ADAS equipment on site for a static. General diagnostics, yeah, no problem at all. Our technicians, so we do have OE trained technicians that have come from main dealerships, so that we are able to perform for the SMR market as well, whether it be not just calibrations, but help, advice, piece programming of modules to a degree. Yeah, things like SOS reprogramming, airbags, steering racks, things like that. But when you're talking on perhaps a BMW with a 10 gig navigation file, then that's where you've got to rely on your internet, our internet. If it goes wrong, you're going to blue screen. So yes, to 99% we're comfortable with. There are always going to be some things out of scope. Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Thanks. Any other questions? No? Okay. All right. Well, thanks very much. Great. We're over on stand, just over on the body shop stand. So if you want any more information, you're welcome to come over and have a chat. Thank you very much.